two people with us this evening that will be playing a part in the convention. We have Dean Landers, Landers Appliance. We have Paul McDonald, from PMD Group. Dean will be discussing a couple of things with us tonight, and Paul will be discussing his scholarship. So maybe we should get right into it. Dean, if you wanted to talk first about the Lifetime Achievement Award you'll be presenting. We don't have the winner yet, but just a little bit of a background on it, what it's about and what it means.
Sure. Thanks for having me, and welcome everyone. I'm glad that you could all log in and join us. It's exciting just to be thinking about having a full-blown ASTI. No light for us. We're going heavy. Come on, bring it on. So, this idea of a Lifetime Achievement Award, we actually did a joint convention when Paul was president at the time. Paul, I don't think you were the executive director. We did it with PSA, and they gave out a Lifetime Achievement Award periodically. So we gave out one in 2010. And as a result, we continued that tradition. And the way we've done it is looked back at people that made a big difference in the industry, not necessarily just as impacting United Appliance Servicers Association, but the industry as a whole. And so nominees get put forth, the board votes and goes through this full vetting process. And then a nominee is selected, a recipient is selected. And then, we have the privilege and the honor of presenting this award on their behalf. And we've had some notable winners in the past. Ed Canodal, Paul McDonald, Terry Andrews. Last time Ed Cahill won the award, who I know a lot of people will remember Ed. And so it's a notable award. And I know UASA has been very proud to give it out. And I've been honored, as I know Paul has, to be the ones that have presented the awards to various people. So it's been real exciting and fun to be a part of that entire process and in vetting people. In fact, one of the first recipients, which many people won't even know his name, Ron Riddle, who ran a company in California, and his boys all started companies, as did one of his employees, Cody, who many people will know Cody from Cody's Appliance, Patty and Cody. He was one of Ron Riddle's employees. And all those kids started an appliance business. And he was a wise man, and he was one of the recipients. So, there's a long history of people that were notable that might not have been well known, but were deeply impactful into the appliance service industry particularly. And so, excited for this year's recipient and look forward to having the privilege to give it away.
Cool. And we're going to be, you're going to be doing that at the banquet dinner. Is that right?
It's at the awards banquet. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. Yeah, definitely some good candidates this year, and looking forward to seeing that. Paul, you are giving out a scholarship. Is that right? Can you tell us about that?
Well, yes, thanks, David, and thanks for inviting me this evening. Welcome, everybody. And as Dean mentioned, the Lifetime Achievement Award is a pretty prestigious award, and he neglected to tell you all that he himself was the recipient of the award one year. And as the year after, or 2 years later, I'm not sure what it was, back in 2017. But what I wanted to say this evening was that when I started my business in '83, I didn't know who to turn to for help. And it was Doug Loughran, the owner of Reliable Parts, that called me up one day and said, there's this group down in the United States called United Appliance Servicers, and they look like they got their stuff together, and I really think you should go to that convention. And it was in San Diego, and off I went that year. At that point, I was not making money. I was surviving, but I wasn't making any money. And everything I've learned from that day forward in the appliance business, I've learned from the people at United Appliance Service Association. It's a tremendous resource, and it's really important for all of us to have a place to go and learn about our industry, to stay in touch with what's happening. If you read a recent article I wrote about Amazon and how they're coming for your business, that inspired a lot of people to reach out to me recently and ask for help in running their businesses. And so, in 10 years of running the United Servicers as the executive director after being president, it always hit me that people I met that were coming for the first time were so excited about it and learned so much for it. And they started just coming back more and more. And I heard stories then about people that couldn't afford to come because it's a fairly expensive investment to go, to Florida or to wherever it is. And so that kind of inspired me to think about how to give back to the industry when I was lucky enough to win that award for Lifetime Achievement for what I had done for the industry. And so I wanted to give back, and I thought about donating money to a scholarship fund. And so in 2017, I did that on the stage when I won the award. And since then, since 2017, we've sent 20 new entrepreneurs to ASTI, to their first ASTI, who've learned a lot. We give them an opportunity to get up on stage and talk about it. It's a way to give them access to something that they may not go to if they weren't able to get there onto their own means. And I really truly believe it's a way to help those people build larger businesses. I know it works because one year back before that in Appliance Pro Talk, there was a discussion going on about the PSA convention, the ASTI convention, and where should you go and are they worth it? And I simply chimed in and said, it doesn't matter which one you go to, but go to one of them because it's important to have your finger in the industry and on the pulse of what's happening. Mm-hmm. And I got challenged that day by some people in that Facebook group that I was just trying to sell the ASTI. So as a big shot, I said, listen, I'll tell you what, I'll pay your way. And if you're not totally impressed, you go for free. But if you get anything out of it, then pay your way and pay me back. So sure enough, that person showed up, and today he has 3 or 4, if not 5 technicians working for him because he's learned what it takes to grow your business and to succeed and make money in the appliance repair. It's an awesome industry. It's providing us all our livelihoods. It certainly has provided my entire life. I've been in it for 38 years. I grew a company from 1 technician to 38 technicians. And I did it all on what USA has taught me over the years. And so it's pretty exciting tonight to announce to you that we're about to award our 23rd scholarship. 23 people we've been able to get to come to ASTI for their first time. And this year we have 3 people that we've chosen. Out of 23, I'll tell you, there were 23 applications. So there's certainly a need for people that want to come and are looking for and in need of help. So the 3 winners this year, I don't want to call them winners, but the 3 recipients that we chose, there was a small committee that I helped sit on to evaluate the 23 applications. And we asked these people to give us a reason why they thought they should come and what their goals were. And so we've chosen 3 this year. The first one is Patrick Thackeray. He's been in business for 1 year. He runs a company called The Appliance Coach out of California. And if you're on Chat USA, you will notice Patrick recently doing a lot of talking on Chat USA. So he's learning from United Servicers. He's using the resources that we as an association have. And we're excited to be able to get Patrick to come to his first ASTI this year or next year in 2022. The second recipient.
Terrific. Sorry, this is Angetta. Thank you.
Oh, hi, Angetta. Thanks for joining us. Did you want to say anything about Patrick winning?
Patrick is awesome. I'm his wife. I nominated him. In fact, he's on a job now and heading home. He's just amazing. And I thank you guys for giving him this opportunity.
Fun.
We're glad that he's able to come and that you're with us tonight. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
The second recipient is Jared Williams. He's been in business for 2 years running a company called Will Fix It out of Atlanta, Georgia. So Jared, we're excited that you're going to be able to join us this year for your first ASTI. I know it won't be your last because once you've been there, you just can't stop coming back. There's just so much information. And the last and third recipient this year is a gentleman called Casey Wynn. He's been in business 2 years on his own with Reloaded Appliances. He's been in the business for 10 years working for somebody, but he branched out on his own, and he too is looking for ways to grow and resources to help him. And so we're pretty excited that Casey Wynn and his wife are actually going to come. His wife is running the business side, and he's running the technical side. They're out of Florida. So they'll be fortunate enough to drive to the ASTI, which is pretty good deal for them. But so it's exciting that we're able to share our knowledge and wealth, and I'm happy that I started a fund. It's grown significantly since I started it. I'm happy to say through generous donations from other members of United Servicers and some manufacturers. And each year I do reach out and ask for donations to the fund. This year it's there's a GoFundMe page set up. So if you just go to GoFundMe.com and search Paul MacDonald and ASTI, you'll find it. Or if you go to the ASTI.us website, where you'll see all of our sponsors for next year and the course schedules and how you can book your hotel and all the other information. I'm sure David's going to tell you shortly. But there's a spot there to click and to donate, and you'll get through to that same GoFundMe site. And it's with the generous donations of others that we're able to continue this, and I hope it lasts for many years to come, and that we get more than 100 people to come to their first ASTI, because it's such a valuable resource. And I enjoyed every minute of my time there. I look forward to seeing you all there. And I appreciate the opportunity tonight, David. Thank you to just explain a little bit about the Paul MacDonald Scholarship Fund. It was my way of giving back after winning this prestigious award that Dean was talking about, the Lifetime Achievement Award. It is a significant award, and it means a lot to be recognized by your peers. And so I'm very thankful for that. So there you go. Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to meeting these three folks next month in Florida.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. That was a great explanation. And I remember a couple of years ago watching the people receive the scholarships or announce the winners, and they came running up to the stage, and they were just so happy. It was really cool to see.
Isn't that a great feeling?
Yeah, it's a really good thing you're doing. And so on that note about what we're going to have at ASTI, first of all, if you haven't registered yet, you can go to ASTI.us and you can register. You can get links to the hotel. So I would hope everybody on this happy hour is already registered, but if you're not, do it right away. So aside from the technical training, there's going to be a whole variety of business classes. Some of the things to just touch it as be classes on creative ways to find and hire employees and technicians. Family succession. So if you're running a family business, how you might prepare to take it from one generation to the next. People will be presenting classes on that. How to fire employees. It's not always a fun thing to do, but sometimes it's necessary. So you might as well do it the right way. Maximizing the value of your business for sale. Overcoming pricing objections. There's a lot of some of my favorite things are the peer groups and the brainstorming sessions where everybody just gets together and sort of shares ideas back and forth. Those are really helpful and a great way to get to know some other people in the industry. And actually, following up on what Paul and Dean were saying about learning from other people that you come across at the conventions, I learned an incredible amount from both of you guys specifically, actually. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is presenting one of my classes again on running a small service company. It's just a tiny sliver of the information that I've learned from all of the amazing people that come to this convention. But my class specifically will be focusing on smaller companies, 5 employees or less, which is actually like 80% of the industry. So I think that's really important. And I think those people tend to need more help. I know I did, especially at that point, because you don't have a lot of experience. You're not really necessarily familiar with business, business in general. We covered things like working with family, how to sort of divide up your time between your personal time and your business time so it doesn't get overwhelmed, doesn't take over your life. Setting up pricing, cost of doing business, that sort of thing is what my class will be about. But I know, Dean, you're going to be presenting a couple of business classes as well. Is that correct?
It is. And by the way, I want to comment, Paul, I like Old Lonely in the background behind you. I see him back there. The old Maytag Old Lonely.
He's my mentor. He came to my office and signed that picture for me many years ago. It was amazing. Super guy.
So not to deviate, but I was at a convention in Chicago, and he was the keynote over there in the corner, and my wife wanted to meet him, and I was hungry. And so I said, well, I'm not waiting in this long line. And so I went and got something to drink and eat. And he made this big commotion. And when I look over, he's got my eyes. He catches my eyesight and he's got my wife in his arms. And he leans over and he gives her a big kiss on the cheek. And then he points at me like, you should have stood in line, buddy. And I waved my fist at him. They're the fun things that you can have happen at a convention. You just never know. So, yeah, so one of the classes that I'm going to be offering is an old staple that we've had for multiple years, but I've redone it, as I always redo my classes because I can't stand to hear my own words. So I always renovate them or rejuvenate them. And that's this idea of GLEAPS. But GLEAPS, I've actually morphed it into the real value of customer service. So it's sort of a combination of a number of classes that I've done over the years. And it sort of jams it all in there to give you what I'm going to call soft skills, some pricing information, some ideas of running a professional organization, some that have to do with your why, like why are you in business? Why do you do what you do? Which I found to be exceptionally helpful. Just understanding my own why and helping people get to their why. Because what I've learned is most people try to sell price and customers don't buy price, they buy value. And so I have some very specific and concrete examples of what I mean by that statement. And I'll elicit comments from the crowd. I like the personal interaction, as I know, Paul, you do as well. What I intend to do is show the difference between what's tangible that most people offer that you can see, touch, and experience in a real way, and intangible, which I'll identify intangible as for the 3 Ps, being prompt, professional, and personal. And those 3 things matter, and they drive GLEAPS to the forefront. So if you can perfect some of these little nuances in your presentation to a customer, and it sort of takes over and it undergirds your entire business operation, what I've found is that you will have not only success for yourself in presenting yourself to any customer, even an upset customer, but it will help your staff be able to present themselves, as they've now taken it from just a straight business relationship to where it's more of an effort to make a personal interaction, to have a personal connection, still being professional through and through. So anyway, I'm excited to do that class. I actually rewrote it for my own staff and presented it about a month and a half ago. And I thought, wow, this is really good. I need to see if Sarah and the board want me to present this, and so she did, and so here we are. We'll present that one, and I'm really excited to do it. Did you want me to talk about the other classes too, David, or do you want?
Yeah, if you want to go over. I mean, your classes are always a big hit. They're always a packed room. So if you have a couple more you want to discuss, that's great. Sure.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to do a class that I call Owner Transition, Insight into 4 Distinct Options when planning to retire. Now, I don't know what Sarah has it called because it's not in my list. So it might be Maximizing the Value of Your Business. I don't know. But I'm going to do this class. I sent it to her in advance. But the idea is I'm going through this process myself right now. So, I'm 63 and I'm looking at what my options are to retire. So I've identified 4 distinct tracks that I'm plumbing the depths of these tracks. So basically I'm going to present what I've learned in walking through each of these individual tracks, thinking about how best to transition from being a full-time business owner with 29, 30 employees to being a retired man. And I've got a timeline to do that. So the 4 things that I've identified is obviously everybody immediately sell outright. So I will plumb the depths of what it would look like to sell outright, from having coordinated the sale of multiple businesses, having coordinated the purchase of many businesses, having counseled people on things to do to prepare their businesses for sale, and then obviously walking along friends that have bought and sold businesses. And now I'm in that track myself. I've gone through all the due diligence. So I'll offer the insights that I've gleaned from going through this process. And then the second is, and I'm not taking this off the table, but that is simply to consider hiring someone that would be able to take over. And that would be at a general manager level. Oftentimes I have some folks, in fact, some folks that I work closely with, they own the business now that they started out as the general manager. And they eventually bought the stock, bought the complete company from the owner. But they started out as a general manager. So I'll look at all the possibilities of what it would look like to hire somebody as a general manager and then walk them into the possibility of becoming either a majority shareholder or a total shareholder. And we'll look at all of that. And that could be an immediate transition general manager, or where they would come in, become a general manager, and then buy you out when they see the operation. You can gift stock. We'll go through all of that. And you could also do that over time. And then the third option is to actually consider having managers. I have 4 managers that are integral to my operation. They each operate a different department in the company, and I can back up and have them run the company. I'm in the process of I've reduced my work week to about 30 hours a week. And in 8 months, I'm going to reduce it to 20 hours a week. And then my plan is after that, they're not sure what my plan is, but I am. In 3.5 years, I'm done. I'm not working at all in the business. I'll be a consultant, as my lucky friend Paul is now. And then the fourth, and this is an interesting option, I've walked alongside some very small companies that came to me and wanted to sell their business. However, when we were assessing the value of their operation and what they thought it was worth, and we put out some feelers to see if anybody was interested to buy, and I assessed the value myself, we found that they weren't going to get much money for their business. And part of that was because of how they had, as you get older, so you stop paying attention to some of the nuts and bolts, like raising your prices. And so for them to get into the current state of professional pricing, nobody would buy it because they're going to lose a big chunk of their customers. So what I worked out with a couple of these gentlemen was, and they were men, was to slowly let their business go away. So they were fixing things they didn't like. They stopped fixing them. They stopped working one day, and then in 3 months, they stopped working another day. And then in 1 year, they stopped working another day to where they were down 2 days a week. They loved doing that. So weren't fixing stuff they hated and had reduced their commitment in time for fixing things. So what happens is the customers that love them, that drank their Kool-Aid, waited because that was their man. That's their service company. So they waited on the 2 days. And the people that didn't want to wait went away, and they were okay with that. And they made a lot more money going through that process than they would have in staying. So we'll look at all the nuances of what that could and should look like for somebody that wants to exercise that option. And then the last is a combination class that it's a business owner operator, next steps to professionalize your business operations and take it to the next level. Now, what I did with this class is I took the keynote address from the ASTI, and the class that actually had a very similar title at ASTI Light in the summer, and I melded those two classes. And so I like to do that because some of that information is already mixed in, and there's a crossover. So it's going to include what I termed your buyability and the nitty-gritty for upfront, in-person, and behind the scenes of a professional service organization. And so, as I said, I adapted that. We're going to talk about the overarching and underpinning, which I know doesn't make much sense, but hopefully as I would lay that out, it will become clear. but the idea is to try and help people understand the specific steps that you can take, separate and aside from GLEAPS. This is more business centered, not the soft skills needed or necessarily price centric. It's more about a mindset. And so I am always excited to do them. When I write them, I get really excited. So I'm really looking forward to being able to present the class. I always have fun interaction with people, and I always learn from everybody that's in the class. And I look forward to, in fact, if anybody has any questions now they want to ask me, I'm happy to entertain them. David, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we do have one question from Mark Avery. I'm not sure what it's about, but Mark, you had a question?
Yes, I did. A few years ago, I learned a lot from Dean. He had what they called the little blue book. I think that's been brought up in several chat rooms and such. And I was just curious, Dean, if you had any updated blue books. That made a big difference in my business. I was charging way too little price according to the national average. So I was just curious if you had the new one. I will be definitely attending some of your classes. I have a new technician that's with me. He's going to be going to some of the training sessions. So we're really looking forward to coming down this year and learning a lot.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, you can go to appliancebluebook.com or servicecompany-solutions.com. And thanks for the commercial. I did not plan that, David, but yeah, there's always updated, and there's an electronic version you can buy for a monthly fee, and that'll keep you current in real time. And it's what I normally would recommend most people do. But if you want the paper version, you can buy that as well.
I believe you can actually buy it on the USA website as well, Dean.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Thank you. Forgot that.
Association.
Okay, good
I'd
deal.
like to add a comment. Can I add a comment, Dean, to your class on preparing to sell your business? And I know you'll agree with me. You know, when you want to sell your business or retire, it's too late to start planning that year. You need to start planning today for wherever it is out that you want to sell, but it takes many years to prepare a business for selling it in order to get the maximum return on your on your sale. So don't wait until the last minute to figure it out. Start now in preparing, setting up your business properly with financials and KPIs to get the most dollar for your business. And I know, Dean, you'd support that 100%. It's not something that last minute. It's a lifelong type preparation.
And Paul, to your point, I've been working on this strategy, these 4 points, for about a year. I've started executing them for the last 4 months. That's about when I started cutting back my work hours 4 months ago to 30 hours. I take off every Friday, so you won't get me on Fridays. I go in 2 days a week at 10:30, and I leave the regular time, 5:30 or so. With the goal that that is where I'm moving. So, and it puts pressure on me to be able to do that, but the planning is so strategic and necessary to be able to get where I want to go. And so, yeah, it's a lot of time and energy and effort. You're not waving a magic wand. There's no fairy dust to throw over top of this thing and make it all go away magically. And I don't have, like Renee, you have a daughter in training, and blessed you are. I don't have that person in play. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of pre-planning.
That's the value of United Appliance Services Association and going to a convention like the ASTI. You learn so many valuable things that accountants and CPAs can't tell you and lawyers can't tell you. But those of us that are in the business, that live the business, offer those, like Dean's doing now, offering his knowledge to everybody else that comes to these conventions. It's so beneficial and worthwhile. It's worth every penny it costs to go. And
I agree, Paul, and I think too the common thread that we all share is a big piece of that, because I always say you can't go anywhere else and have anybody understand what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish unless they're doing it in the same kind of way. And so I wanted to ask you, Dean, too, there's a big emotional tie to letting go of something that you've nurtured for, a lifetime, and planning for that. And they don't teach a class in how you get your mind converted to, the retirement piece when you've been working for so long. So, I wonder if that's a big piece of something that we should touch on for, for those of us who are trying to, lessen the load like you're talking about and trying to get out of it. Emotionally, we have to disconnect as well. And that's hard for a lot of people.
Thank you for saying that, because I've actually been looking at this for about, as I said, a year, but I didn't start to implement it for 4 months until 4 months ago because of that. You got to process through and think, well, what do I want to do? What am I hoping to leave as a legacy? And because that's going to determine if you're going to sell. Now you might only sell to a select group of people. You might not sell to the highest person that comes in with the most dollars. So I've had to process all that, which makes me go back and think about, okay, so what have I built? The people that work for me, what do they see as the value that they've been interjecting into our company? I have people that have been with me for 30 plus years. And so I'm not going to forego them. They're an integral part of the business. So I have to think that through strategically for what is it that I want? Am I just trying to make $1? I'm not. That's not my goal in this. So I had to think all that through and then write it out, because it's going to refine who it is that I'm looking for to buy it, be a general manager, or for the managers, for me to be able to have them run the company in my absenteeism, because I will be a remote owner if I choose that track, where I'm working 8 hours a week remotely and I don't come to the office. So yeah, emotional is a big part of it. I've had guys who they can't let go of it. They can't let go of it. And Renee, I've seen it more with when children are involved in the parents. I remember doing some coaching for a company down south, and the owner, well, actually he wasn't the owner. It was only in name only, but he still came in every day. He was 80 years old, and his boys were trying to do something with the company, but he would not get out of their way. He just could not let go. So yes, thank you. That you teed that up well, and that's an important integral part of the whole process.
And I think just speaking to that point in the discussion, it was mentioned earlier, we're going to do a class at ASTI this year that talks about working with family and, the nuances, if you will, about dealing with that kind of thing and separating family from business. And again, that's a really hard one as well. Mm-hmm. So, but I just wanted to interject that. I'm going to turn it back over to David too, but good discussion, Dean. I really think that's important.
Hey, Dean, on that point, when did you sort of transition? Because I think at one point you were a technician. Is that right?
Yeah. So so Paul will like this. So I was attending what was the predecessor to UASA. It was the predecessor to USA. And we had formed this little association that came out of NARDA. NARDA had a service group. And I attended a convention in 1989 in San Diego. And Dave Ashton was the teacher of that program that I sat in on one of these classes. And he challenged me. I knew he was talking straight to me, right? There's like 50 people in this class, but he's talking to me. And he says, you're either working on your business or you're working in your business. And I thought, daggone. Of course, that's something I've said, 100 times. I went home and I did not run another service call. I decided in that class, because he was talking right to me, and I thought I'm going to have to look at him again because I'm going to come back to these things, that I was going to run the company as an owner, as a businessman, and not be a technician again. And I did not run another service call. And you look at my hands, if you looked at them 6 months after that, you'd see, well, he sure hasn't. Look at those hands.
That's something I struggle with myself, because and it's the sort of two related points here. Number one, coming to the ASTI. So I've been through sort of a a more formal business course. And that, that kind of information is very good for general business information, but it doesn't really compare to the information you learn at a convention like ASTI, because it's so specific to what we do that you're not going to get in a general business course. No, they both have their value, but ASTI, I think, is kind of more important to a certain extent. And one of the things that we did in the business course, one of the things I said was to set aside time to work on the business. And I struggle with that myself. And I've set aside Fridays to do that, but still I find that I sort of creep back into, well, let me just go do this one job, and the idea of just saying, okay, I'm not doing any more service calls, period, is very enticing, but I can't really bring myself to do it.
So
Yeah, you're not there.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say you're not there yet.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of young to be transit,
Well,
to be doing that. Anyway, David. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm late to the webinar, but I have to agree with everything that's been said. I was listening when I was on my way back home and was able to jump on. But yeah, we are in the process of doing this transitioning with our business. We actually have been at it for a good many years. It kind of started back. We had Paul McDonald out to our business, and Paul, I don't remember when it was, but it was after Tony, our youngest son, graduated from college, and he came out and we all had a talk, and he listened to the perspectives and point of views, and we started the process, and we actually went to an attorney and had the whole thing laid out, and we've been laying this out for many, many years. And the biggest thing with transitioning your business is the whole letting go, I guess, is the best thing. And Dean and Paul, it's letting go of letting somebody else do it and being okay. I was telling a manager in our office today that, I know I think I'm doing it 100%, but when I hand it off to someone, I'm lucky if I can get 80. And sometimes I have to be good enough with that.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point, Corinne. When we had decided to start growing the business, that was one of the things we discussed was that, I wonder what sort of, is there any sort of drop in quality that we'll have to accept on that? And yes and no. I mean, you don't really want to drop the quality, but I feel like to a certain extent, when you're going from a single technician or owner operator to a larger company, there is a risk of that, I think.
Well, you have to be able to let go a little bit. That's just it. With everybody you hire, you have to let go a little bit. And, the big difference in a good company and an average company is in the management at the top. You can have all kinds of processes in place, but if nobody is following them and they're not being enforced. And so that's the thing that I am trying to, have my son, because that's who will eventually take over our business and who has been working toward that process. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if we say every customer must be called every time. We can't make a call. We have to call the customer before their window expires. And then when it doesn't happen and we get a bad review, I'm just I'm infuriated. I feel like I should have picked up the phone and handled that. But it's enforcing that bit with management that if we have policies in place, they have to be followed. And that's why, as I transition into trying to get my hands off of everything, I, do managers meetings once a week and enforce these ideals into the people who will eventually be, running our company.
Corinne, I love books. And so I will recommend this book, The Outward Mindset, by the Arbinger Group, the Arbinger Institute. It is a tremendous book to work through with your management staff. And then this one, Team of Teams by General McChrystal, another phenomenal book. And even if you're like David for a small operation, these books help you formulate your processes. But one of the things I've been working through with my management staff is this. So everybody has a copy. We get together and we take one chapter a week and we're just working through the chapters. And sometimes we'll stay on the same chapter for multiple weeks if it's a good and appropriate chapter. But it also builds into my management staff what I'm thinking to give away authority. And then, as I said, I've stopped going to the office. They can't call me. And the things I'm doing, they can't get me on the phone. I'm not answering the phone. So I can't insert myself into places. I'm not there. I'm not available.
Is that why I ran into you in Jackson Hole, Wyoming last year?
It could be, yes.
Those devilish plans of not being able to be reached. We see how that is.
I know. Walking down the street in Jackson Hole, Wyoming last year. I don't remember, maybe October. No, the year before, actually. And I run into Dean Landers and he's like, what are you doing here? And I said, the same thing you're doing here. Try not to answer the phone. Letting other people do it. But the class that we're doing at ASTI is about transitioning your business, and we're going to have several family business representatives as part of our group. And we're going to be talking about what our individual processes have been for transitioning. I mean, I'm not ready to move out of my business, but I certainly am ready to let somebody else shoulder some of the customer reviews and things that have to be kept up with and require a lot of attention. But I would like someone else to be attentive to it.
And I think that's really the most important reason to come to a convention like this, is because all of these things that you guys are talking about, especially Corinne, enforcing processes and making sure they get done. That's something I struggle with. I'm very good at creating processes, but enforcing them and making sure they actually happen is another story. So I'm looking forward to learning some more about that kind of stuff. Do we have any questions from the audience? I don't see anybody's hands up, but does anybody have any questions they wanted to ask anyone?
Yeah, I just saw the two book names. So if I can send it out, but it's The Outward Mindset by the Arbiter Institute, and it's A Team of Teams by General McChrystal. That's the books. I'm reading two at once because I'm a reader. This one's in the list. I'm going to read this one next.
I have that on my shelf.
Yeah, Scaling Up is a book that falls in line with Traction. It's like the next generation from Traction, if you have read Scaling Up, Vern Harnish's book. But I highly recommend this Outward Mindset. It's really been transformational in my management team and helping them take what we're talking about is managers taking ownership so that you don't have to be running the company. They're running the company because they own their own departments and they're seeing this big 10,000 foot view. It's been really helpful.
Excellent about owning the business, the employee owning business.
I have a question about the suppliers that will be there for training. I saw that Speed Queen was not on the list. Are they a definite no, or they just haven't committed yet?
Renee,
We've had some late entries and people who, for obvious reasons, want to wait to see if things will change. And so I couldn't say if they're a definite no at this point, but so far is what I can say.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm not sure whether this was discussed before I got on. I had a commitment this evening, but wanted to get on as soon as I could. But I know that the last meeting we had, which was last week, I heard that rooms were running. There were minimal rooms at the main resort at Tradewinds, and there were still plenty of rooms at the other, what is it, Rumfish?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Rumfish.
Right.
Hey, Corinne?
Yeah.
I actually just went online tonight to book another hotel room for somebody on my team, and there are no rooms left at either resorts.
Okay. Oh, at either resort.
Yeah. So I was going to but when you go to their website, right? There's still some room. So I was wondering if, I didn't know if it was you or maybe Sarah could get a hold of them and see if they'd release a few more blocks of rooms for us.
Okay, well, I will definitely, I'll check with Sarah in the morning and see what we can do about that, because I know a lot of people have waited, till the last minute because of, pandemic and just holidays and everything else that's going on. But I'll check and see if we can add some rooms to that.
Hey, Amy,
Just
if
go ahead and call her.
yeah.
Sorry, David. Yeah, go ahead and call her and she'll discuss that. For those of you who may be first time, I know we've got a few first time ASTI attendees on here. The main building we're talking about for Trade Winds is where all the convention activities will happen. Rumfish is, for lack of a better way to say it, about a block, maybe a block walking distance just up the road. It's also their hotel, but none of the activities for the convention will be going on there. And so it's really beneficial to be in the main building if you can get there. That's why we're trying to get everybody to get their rooms early so they don't run out. So
Right. But you will still have access to everything that is going on. Sarah Brown just responded that there are still rooms available. So please reach out to Sarah and Maggie in the morning. We'll clear that up tomorrow morning. If you can at all get at Trade Winds, that's where you would really want to be. There's a lot of networking that goes on at the facility day and night. You see people in the, in the lobby and in the hallways and outside around the pool. And I think there's a tiki bar. You see a lot of people hanging out, and it's a great place to just network and talk to people who have the same concerns that you have with your business.
The tiki bar is nice. They got a fire pit out by the tiki bars. It's a good place to sit around and talk to people.
Although last time we were there, it was very cold out.
It was very cold. Well, that's why the fire pit was so good.
Yes.
All right. So, Renee, did you have anything to add, or I don't see any questions from anybody.
No, we wanted to cover all of that. The only thing I will add to this conversation, we wanted to touch on it a little bit, is that we have some board members who are departing the board for official positions, and there's going to be some shifting going around for those of you who are interested. And I see we've got several board members currently on this meeting, and some former board members as well. But we would love to have anybody who's interested or even curious, please stop one of us or come up to the registration desk and speak with Sarah, speak with Maggie, stop me in the hall, stop Kareem. We want to give you as much information as possible so that we can get some new energy. David's joined, Anthony's joined. And I'm going to call Manny Ortega out, who has been on the board for 12 years, Manny. 12 years. So that's almost the length of time that most marriages last nowadays, right? So he is going to be leaving the board this year unless I can sprinkle magic all over him. But he's going to start, to relinquish the co-chair to me for ASTI committee, but I'm going to bug him and harass him on and on and on about advice and things that I need. But I wanted to thank Manny for being a big part of this.
Yeah.
And anybody, like I said, who's interested, please come up and speak with us. It's the most rewarding thing that you can do in this industry that is absolutely volunteer and doesn't pay a dime. So please let us know. Manny, thank you.
Yeah. It is rewarding though, and you get to meet a lot of industry people on the inside a little bit and learn a little bit more about the industry being involved. And Scott Becker, I think I got an email from you today that you're interested. Is that you? Okay, I'll be emailing you back.
Yes.
Yeah, we would love that.
Yes, I'd like to get some more information on it.
Okay.
Responsibility, time commitment.
You'll be
So,
hearing from me.
On
Okay.
that point, I'll just say that was one of my concerns with that was the time commitment, and it actually works out fairly well. We get plenty of advance notice about when you'll need to be available, and it's not a huge time commitment. I was like you were a little bit concerned about that, but turns out it's really not. It's not too much to handle, and it is like Manny was saying, it is rewarding, it is fun, and it's nice to help the industry.
Right. And as far as commitment, really, there's only one travel. I don't want to say mandatory, because we certainly understand if someone can't do or attend, but normally each year we have a board retreat, normally in the fall, September, October, and we weren't able to do it the last 2 years because of the pandemic, but I'm sure that next year, if all goes well, we will be starting that again, and it's an opportunity for the board all to be in the same place at the same time prior to the ASTI convention. Another thing I wanted to mention was that we always start a new peer group at the annual convention, and so we will be having several meetings. Check if you are interested in joining a peer group with 8 to 10 other business owners in the industry. We will be forming, myself and Fred Holbrook will be forming new peer groups for this coming year, in addition to working with the last peer group that we formed and getting them together for regular meetings. We really missed that in the last year, and we're hoping to get that peer group formed in 2020, get them back into regular meetings with each other. And that a peer group normally is a monthly meeting with other company owners, and then it is a quarterly meeting together. It requires one night of travel, usually on a Thursday. You travel in, you have a meeting on Friday, and then you fly home on a Friday evening. So please look at the schedule when the peer groups, I think there's a peer group meeting to form a peer group at the beginning of the ASTI, and then we'll hold another one toward the end to go ahead and get some new groups formed.
All right. Okay. I guess that covers everything. And if Dean or Paul, do you have anything you want to add in here at the end? We're all set. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Paul and Dean, and thank you for Corinne for hopping on.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for watching. And hopefully see you all at ASTI at ASTI.us. Register tonight if you haven't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.